They built the system to control you, but they never anticipated someone like you, a glitch they can't delete. Here's the cold, hard truth. The world thrives on compliance. Governments, corporations, and even societal norms are carefully crafted to keep you in line, playing by rules you never agreed to. But every now and then, someone steps out of formation, and that's when things get interesting. Did you know that only 1% of people ever challenge the status quo? The other 99% stick to the script, afraid to make waves. You, on the other hand, you are the wave. While they wanted obedience, you had the audacity to choose defiance. You've got them sweating now. Not just because you refuse to comply, but because you're doing it so loudly, so unapologetically, that their whole system is starting to crack. It's funny, isn't it? The people who claim they're in charge seem utterly powerless against one person who refuses to nod, smile, and go along with the program. You're not just breaking the mold, you're making them question why the mold exists in the first place. Buckle up. This isn't just rebellion, this is a revolution. Number one, they preach unity but fear the ones who don't assimilate. Unity is their favorite slogan. They love to talk about everyone working together, staying on the same page, moving as one. It sounds noble, doesn't it? A world where we all belong, where no one steps out of line, where harmony reigns supreme. But here's the catch. What they're really asking for isn't unity, it's conformity. They don't want people united by shared purpose. They want people controlled by the same fear. And then there's you. You've stepped out of the line they drew. You're not marching to their rhythm, and that makes you dangerous. They can't comprehend why you won't just fall in place like everyone else. It's not that you're chaotic or rebellious for the sake of it, it's that you see through their game. You know their version of a unity means erasing individuality. It means trading your voice for their comfort, your freedom for their control. What scares them most is that you expose the cracks in their narrative. When someone refuses to blend in, it forces others to ask questions. Why are we all following this path? Who decided this was the only way? Your defiance isn't just an act, it's a ripple effect. It makes others wonder what life outside the line might look like. They fear you because you've redefined the rules. You've shown that harmony doesn't come from compliance, it comes from authenticity. They want a world of clones, not individuals. And the irony? They claim to celebrate uniqueness, but the second you show them what it really looks like, they panic. You've become the living proof that unity doesn't mean silence. It means embracing the noise, the questions, the defiance, and they don't know how to handle it. Number two, you're the system's glitch, and that's their nightmare. They built the system to be airtight, a perfectly engineered machine designed to control, categorize, and contain. Everything about it was calculated: the rules, the expectations, the rewards for good behavior, and the punishments for stepping out of line. It's not just a system, it's a masterpiece of manipulation. They didn't account for one thing: you. You're the glitch in their code, the flaw they never planned for. You didn't ask to be disruptive, and you didn't set out to cause chaos. But your very existence challenges everything they built. While others adapt to the system, you refuse to fit. You don't follow the path they laid out because you see it for what it is: a trap. You weren't born to follow orders or live quietly in the corner they assigned to you. What scares them isn't just your defiance, it's the fact that you've exposed the lie at the heart of their control. The system depends on one thing: everyone believing it's unbreakable. The moment you stepped out of line, the illusion started to crumble. They've spent years convincing people that rebellion is dangerous, that standing out will destroy you, but here you are, standing tall, refusing to back down and showing everyone that their fear tactics are smoke and mirrors. They hate you because they can't predict you. You don't play by the rules, and they don't know what to do with someone who sees through their game. You're not just a glitch, you're proof that the system can be broken. And the worst part for them, you didn't even need their permission to do it. Number three, their comfort is your cage and you refuse to live in it. They call it comfort, but you know better. It's a cage, polished, decorated, and disguised as something desirable. The system wasn't built to empower you, it was built to keep you docile. They hand you their version of happiness: a steady job, a predictable routine, a few crumbs of approval, and expect you to be satisfied. But deep down, you've always known that what they're offering isn't freedom. It's a bribe. You're not the problem. The problem is that their version of comfort suffocates people like you. While others settle for what's handed to them, you're searching for something real. The system wants obedience, not ambition. It wants you to stay small, not because it hates you, but because it fears you. You're not meant to thrive in their cage, you're meant to break it. Your refusal to settle makes them nervous. They've spent years perfecting the illusion that life inside the cage is as good as it gets. You rejecting their comfort doesn't just make them uncomfortable, it makes them question everything they've built. If their cage isn't good enough for you, maybe it was never good enough for anyone. And here's the kicker, they hate that you're not bitter about it. You're not sitting around complaining about the cage, you've already figured out how to open the door. They can't stand that you're not afraid to walk away from the false security they've sold everyone else. You've chosen the unpredictable, the uncertain, the wild over their safe little trap. To them, that's rebellion. To you, it's survival. You weren't built to live quietly in someone else's idea of comfort. You were built to find your own freedom, no matter what it takes. And that's what they'll never understand. Number 4, they created the chains and now they're terrified you've got the key. They spent so much time forging those chains carefully, meticulously, and with precision. Every link was crafted to fit perfectly around your mind, your choices, and your freedom. The chains weren't physical, they didn't need to be. They were made of rules you didn't question, expectations you didn't challenge, and fears they planted deep inside you. To them, the perfect chain isn't the one you see, it's the one you wear willingly. But then something changed, you stopped playing along. Maybe it was subtle at first, a quiet refusal, a single no to something everyone else accepted, but that was enough. It sent shockwaves through their system because their power wasn't built on strength. It was built on your compliance. The moment you stopped agreeing, the chains started to loosen and their illusion of control began to crumble. And here's what terrifies them the most. You didn't just break free, you found the key. You figured out how their game works, how they've kept everyone in line, and now you're a threat. Not because you're violent or destructive, but because you've proven that the chains were never unbreakable to begin with. They hate that you've exposed how fragile their authority really is. They built an empire on the assumption that no one would question it. And now you've turned their unshakable system into something that trembles under the weight of your defiance. Worse still, you're showing others the key. Every person you inspire is another crack in their foundation. They thought they'd locked you in forever, but you've flipped the script. The chains they once wielded with pride are now their greatest fear, because you're proof that no one has to stay bound. They wanted control, you gave them chaos, and now they don't know what to do with you. Number 5, defiance is a mirror they can't bear to look into. Defiance is unsettling, not because it's loud or disruptive, but because it's reflective. Your refusal to comply doesn't just challenge their rules, it holds up a mirror to their own cowardice. They've built their lives on following orders, staying in line, and playing it safe. Seeing you break free makes them question every choice they've ever made, and that terrifies them. It's not your rebellion that gets under their skin, it's the reminder of what they've sacrificed to avoid risk. Your defiance exposes the truth they've buried deep. They've traded courage for comfort, individuality for approval, and passion for predictability. When you stand firm, unapologetic in your choices, it forces them to see how far they've fallen into the trap of compliance. They call you reckless, stubborn, even foolish, but those words are just projections of their own insecurities. It's easier for them to demonize you than to admit that they envy you. They see in you a version of themselves they abandoned long ago, the part that dreamed bigger, questioned authority, and dared to take risks. Watching you defy the system reminds them of what they gave up, and that kind of self-reflection is unbearable. Your defiance doesn't just threaten their power, it disrupts their entire identity. They've built their sense of worth on being good followers. And you're proof that their compliance wasn't bravery, but fear. They'll try to silence you, not because you're wrong, but because you're right in ways they can't accept. The hardest part for them isn't that you refuse to bow. It's that deep down they wish they could do the same. Your courage isn't just defiance. It's a reminder of everything they've chosen to ignore. And that mirror is something they'll do anything to avoid. Number 6, they try to label you, but you're too big for their boxes. Labels are their favorite tool, their easiest way to make sense of people like you. They slap on a word, a category, a stereotype, and think they've got you figured out. To them, a label isn't just a description, it's a way of containing you, controlling you. They want you to believe that once you've been named, you're defined. But here's the problem. You don't fit. Not in their boxes, their categories, or their expectations. They've tried every label they can think of. Too bold, too quiet, too rebellious, too ambitious. But none of it sticks. You're not too anything. You're simply more. And the more they try to pin you down, the more you outgrow the labels they use. Their panic isn't about you refusing to fit. It's about the fact that their labels never truly held you in the first place. They've built their power on the idea that they can categorize and control people. Seeing you break free isn't just frustrating for them, it's terrifying. It exposes the lie they've been telling themselves, that a word, a title, or a stereotype can define someone's worth. The truth is, their labels were never about you. They were about making themselves comfortable. It's easier for them to put you in a box than to deal with the reality that you're limitless. By refusing their labels, you force them to confront the uncomfortable truth that people can't be contained. You're not rebellious for the sake of it. You're simply too expansive for their narrow definitions. Every time they try to define you, they reveal their own limitations, not yours. Their system wasn't built for someone like you, and that's exactly why it will never hold you. Number 7, your fire burns their blueprints to ash. They spent years crafting their blueprint, a step-by-step guide for how everyone should live, think, and behave. It's all laid out, the roles you're supposed to play, the goals you're meant to chase, the boundaries you must never cross. Their plan wasn't just a suggestion, it was a mandate. Stick to the blueprint and they reward you with approval. Stray from it and they brand you a problem, but then you came along and lit the whole thing on fire. You didn't follow the script. You didn't even try to adjust to their plan, you completely ignored it. Your defiance wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was a declaration. This blueprint isn't for me, and it never was, and now they're scrambling. Their entire system is built on predictability. They rely on everyone staying in line, playing their part, and keeping the machine running smoothly. You're a wild card. They don't know how to deal with someone who refuses to play their game. Your refusal to conform isn't just disruptive, it's proof that their one-size-fits-all plan doesn't work. And that terrifies them. What's worse for them is that your defiance isn't chaos for its own sake. It's purposeful. It's a rejection of their authority, their control, and their belief that they can dictate your life. The fire you've sparked is catching, spreading to others who are starting to question the blueprint too. Now they're facing a reality they never prepared for, a world where people don't need their plan to thrive. They thought their blueprint was indestructible, but your fire has turned it to ash, and in its place you're building something they can't control, a life on your own terms. Number 8. You're a living example that power lies in choice. Control doesn't come from force, it comes from the illusion that there's no alternative. That's the game they've been playing all along, convincing people that the system is the only option, that the path they've laid out is the only way forward. Their power doesn't come from strength, but from convincing the world that choice doesn't exist. And then there's you. You're living proof that the choice has always been there. You're not waiting for permission, not asking for approval, not following the script they handed you. By refusing to comply, you've shattered the illusion they depend on. You didn't just choose differently, you showed everyone else that they can too. That's what terrifies them the most. Your defiance isn't just personal, it's contagious. It's a ripple effect that makes others pause and question the so-called inevitability of the system. They've spent years convincing people that they're powerless, that going along with the program is the safest, smartest option. And now you've come along to show that safety isn't the same as freedom. Your choices expose the fragility of their control. If you can break free, then anyone can. The more people see you standing tall, unapologetic, and unbothered by their rules, the more they begin to wonder, what if I've had the power all along too? Their fear isn't just about losing control of you. It's about losing control of everyone else. They know that once people realize they have a choice, the entire system unravels. And here you are, living proof that power doesn't come from following orders. It comes from deciding for yourself. Number 9, their control only works in shadows, and you're the light. Their control thrives in the dark, where the rules are hidden, the consequences unspoken, and the power dynamics operate beneath the surface. They've mastered the art of subtlety, slipping their influence into every corner of society without people even noticing. They perfected the quiet manipulation, making you believe that nothing can be done, that this is just how things are. But the moment you step into the light, everything changes. Your defiance isn't just loud, it's a spotlight. It shines directly on the cracks in their carefully constructed facade. You're not just saying no to the system, you're exposing how fragile it truly is. They've spent years working in shadows, quietly pulling strings, creating an illusion of control. But you, by simply refusing to comply, pull back the curtain. What was once hidden is now visible, and their power falters when exposed to the harshness of truth. They thought their control would go unnoticed, that no one would ask questions, that everyone would continue to live in ignorance. But your defiance forces the light to shine on their tactics. It's not just the actions you take, it's the fact that you're revealing the game to the rest of the world. Now people are starting to see the manipulation, the fear tactics, and the lies that were always there. You've made their shadows irrelevant. They hate the light because they can't thrive in it. They need secrecy to hold on to their power. The more you shine, the more they realize they've been exposed. And here's the real kicker. You didn't even need to say much. Your very presence in the light is enough to make their hold seem weak, fragile, and downright pathetic. Number 10, your existence challenges the very foundations of their lies. They've spent decades crafting a world built on lies, half-truths, misdirections, and carefully orchestrated narratives designed to keep people in line. It's not that they didn't want the truth to come out, they just didn't want anyone to ask the right questions. Every rule they imposed, every societal norm they enforced, was meant to cover up the cracks in their grand story. They wanted people to believe that the system was flawless, that the world they built was inevitable, and that rebellion was nothing more than chaos. Then you came along. Your defiance wasn't just a rejection of their system. It was a loud, undeniable reminder that their entire foundation was built on sand. Each step you take toward freedom, each moment you stand up against the lies they've sold sends shockwaves through everything they've worked so hard to conceal. You didn't just defy them, you made their lies impossible to ignore. Your existence is a living challenge to everything they've told people to believe. You're proof that their carefully constructed narrative is nothing more than a facade. They thought they could silence you, shut you down, and make you conform like everyone else. But instead, you've made them confront the most terrifying truth of all. The system wasn't built on strength, it was built on deception, and now that deception is unraveling piece by piece with every choice you make. They wanted to control the narrative, to dictate what people believed was true, but your defiance has forced them to see that the truth can't be hidden forever. The very act of you living outside their lies makes their entire world unstable. The foundation they've spent so long building is crumbling, and it's your defiance that's causing the collapse. Number 11, you're the blueprint for a new way of being. What they've always feared isn't just your refusal to comply, it's the fact that your defiance has become a new way forward. It's more than rebellion, it's a blueprint for freedom. Every time you stand tall, every choice you make to step outside their boundaries, you're showing people there's another way to live, another way to think, and another way to exist. You're not just breaking the rules, you're rewriting them, and with each move, you're leaving a trail for others to follow. They've spent generations crafting a maze, twisting the walls and narrowing the paths, convincing everyone there's only one exit, the one they've created for you. They want you to believe there's no other route, no other way to be. But with every step you take toward your own truth, you're proving that the exit doesn't belong to them. It belongs to anyone who dares to question the walls they've built. What you're doing is creating a roadmap, a map of courage, independence, and authenticity. It's not easy to follow, and it's certainly not predictable, but it's real. And it's a stark contrast to the smooth, sanitized path they've been selling everyone for so long. People are starting to see that the maze isn't a prison. It's a design, a choice, and one that can be ignored. Your defiance has planted seeds of possibility in places where fear once reigned. And now, with each act of resistance, you're giving people permission to ask questions, to demand more, and to refuse to accept a life dictated by others. Your very existence is proof that living outside their blueprint is not just possible, but powerful, and that more than anything is why they're terrified. Number 12, they fear the crowd you'll inspire, not just you. They've always known that control is fragile, that it only works as long as everyone stays in line. But here's the thing they didn't account for. It's not just you they're worried about, it's the crowd you're about to ignite. You're not a lone voice in the wilderness, you're the spark. And that spark has the potential to light an entire wildfire. The moment you started pushing back, you didn't just shake their confidence. You showed others that it's possible to break free. Now they're terrified because they know the truth. Your defiance is contagious. One person stepping out of line might seem insignificant to them at first, but when that one person refuses to comply, it plants the seed for others to question, to challenge, and to stand up for themselves. You're proof that courage isn't an isolated act, it's a ripple effect. The moment you decided to think for yourself, to push past the boundaries they set, you began awakening others to the power of their own choices, and that's where their fear lies. What they can't control is the movement you're creating, one defiant act at a time. They thought they could isolate you, make an example of you, and silence your voice. But what they don't see is that you're no longer alone. You're the first of many. The more you step forward, the more others will see what you see, that there's an entire world outside of their control. You're inspiring a new generation of thinkers, doers, and rebels, and each one is a direct threat to the system they've worked so hard to build. You're not just a defiant individual, you're the leader of a revolution in the making. And that's the real reason they're afraid. It's not about silencing you, it's about preventing the unstoppable force you're about to create. Number 13, you're the storm they never saw coming. They spent years planning, calculating, and orchestrating every detail of their system. They mapped out the rules, anticipated the moves, and made sure everyone stayed in line. They expected compliance, quiet, predictable, controlled. They believed they had every angle covered. But there's one thing they didn't plan for, the storm you've become. You're not just another cog in their machine, another person who will bow to their carefully constructed order. You are the raw, uncontainable force that shatters their predictability. They thought they knew exactly how people would respond to their rules, that their grip on power was unbreakable. But they didn't see you coming. With each defiant act, you're rewriting the rules. You're not just refusing to comply, you're forcing them to confront an entirely new reality. You're not following the path they laid out. You're creating your own. And in doing so, you're making them realize that their plans were never as foolproof as they believed. What they saw as a well-oiled machine is now an unstable structure, shaken by the force of someone who refuses to be contained. You're not just defying their system, you're deconstructing it piece by piece. Every action you take pushes them closer to the edge, because they don't have a contingency plan for someone like you. They built a world where everyone stayed in line, where everyone followed their script. And now you've rewritten the script, making their calculated moves seem like nothing more than fragile attempts to control something they can't understand. You're the storm they never saw coming, and the game is never going to be the same. In the end, they thought they held all the cards, shuffling and dealing the same tired hands to keep everyone in line. But you, with your defiance, have reshuffled the deck. You're not just a disruptor, you're the force that's rewriting the entire narrative, the spark that sets the world on fire. You've become the embodiment of what happens when someone refuses to accept the chains of control, when they choose to walk a path that was never meant for them. Your actions ripple out, causing a chain reaction, and suddenly the walls they built to keep you in check seem fragile and paper-thin. What they didn't realize when they tried to box you in, label you, and control your every move was that the very power they thought they had was always yours to take. With each step you take, you break another chain, expose another lie, and prove that their world was never as solid as they claimed. You're not just defying them, you're dismantling the illusion of their power brick by brick until it all comes tumbling down. You are the storm that's too strong to ignore, the blueprint for a new way of being. and the wake-up call that the world can no longer ignore. They thought you were the outlier, the one who wouldn't fit. But in reality, you're the one who's redefining what it means to truly live, to choose for yourself, and to stand unapologetically in your own truth. They built their empire on lies and complacency, but you are the truth they never accounted for. The game has changed, and you, my friend, are the one who holds the power now. You're not just living, you're leading. And the world will never be the same again. If this resonated with you, if you felt the power in every word, then don't let it stop here. Subscribe to stay connected so we can continue this journey of defiance and self-discovery together. Like if you believe that the world needs more voices like yours, voices that refuse to be silenced, drop a comment and let us know your thoughts. Your voice matters and deserves to be heard, and share this with anyone who needs a reminder that they too hold the power to change the game. Together we're rewriting the rules. Let's keep pushing boundaries, one step at a time. Let's grow, thrive, and conquer together. Your journey starts now.